Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Oh, wow, we got a busy week ahead as Arsenal fans. Coming up in just about a week's time, we're going to find out who we have drawn in the Champions League for this season. Yes, the Champions League is back for Arsenal, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see who we get. I bet any money we get buying. Any money we get Bayern Munich with Harry Kane. Trust me, I know it, right? And also the day after that happens next week, Thursday, the 31st. The day after that, the 1st of September, the transfer window will officially close at 11 p.m. and we won't be able to do any more deals until January. And I've spoken a lot about, players that we're looking to buy, day in, day out here on Transfer Daily. But one of the things I haven't delved deep into is the players that need to go or the players that Arsenal are attempting to sell. And according to a lot of reports, Arsenal would like to move on at least 7 players before the transfer window closes so that they can bring in another 2 players, 2 more signings before the window closes. And I wanted to kind of just go through some of those players that Arsenal are trying to move on before the end of the transfer window. The obvious one, because we've spoken about him literally every day, and the one that's going to get the most money for Arsenal, hence one of the reasons why they're trying to sell him, is following Balogun. Valued at around about £50 million by Arsenal. We know that they've had several offers around about the 30 million mark. It was Inter Milan who had the first dig at him. They've sort of pulled out. Monaco have been the team that have been coming in heavily for him. They made a bid of £35 million, which was turned down. They're set to come back with a bigger bid. Fulham are interested. Spurs are interested. West Ham are still set to hold an interest. Chelsea are holding an interest as well at the moment. Basically, there's a lot of teams out there that they're desperate to get a striker in, and Balogun fits the bill after all the goals he scored last year, but could generate around about £50 million in clear profit for Arsenal, because remember, he's a player that's come through the academy. The next player that looks like he's definitely moving for me is Kieran Tierney. Now, hasn't started a Premier League game, hasn't even been in the squad of either of the Premier League games. And every other game of pre-season, including the Community Shield, he was on the bench. Never started a game. Obviously, despite what Mikel Arteta has been saying, in my opinion, looks like they want to move him on. Even with Timber being out last week, he didn't play. Will be really interesting to see if he figures this weekend, because now Tomiyasu's out. But it will still probably be Zinchenko who will start that game ahead of him. Looks like he's going. Now, where is he going? Because not loads of suitors for him. And Newcastle was said to be really, really interested in him at the start of the transfer window, but they bought in Lewis Hall. Real Sociedad are interested, but they want a loan. Celtic are interested, but they can't really afford it. Where is Kieran Tierney going to go? Aston Villa are said to be another club that have been showing an interest in Kieran Tierney. Arsenal want to get about £30 million for him. If he does go out on a loan, they probably want some sort of obligation in there to buy him. But are any of those clubs that are looking to bring him in, suitably stacked with money to get that sort of deal done? Then there's Nacho Tavarez, the other left back, on loan last year at Marseille, had a really indifferent time. Started off really, really well at Marseille. There was a lot of talk that they want to keep him permanently, but then dropped off towards the end of the season, and there was even starting to be questions about, does this guy really want it or not? When it comes to a week-to-week basis. Has come back to Arsenal and again has not figured in a game for Arsenal. Nothing in pre-season, none of the match day squads, hasn't been anywhere near it, and has been heavily linked with a move away. Now, about a week ago, it looked like he could be on his way to Nottingham Forest, but that fell through. He didn't want to go there. Werder Bremen are said to be interested. Wolfsburg are said to be interested. There's a couple of other Premier League teams. Again, Aston Villa have shown an interest. Where is he going to end up? Arsenal be looking to get around about £15 million for him as well. But who's going to be the takers? Fully expect him to move on before the end of the transfer window. But where? Then there's Pepe, Nicolas Pepe. What do Arsenal do about him? There was a rumour a couple of days ago that Arteta sat down with him and said, listen, you can get back into the squads, but we need to know that your attitude's right. There's that rumor, but then there's other rumors linking him with a move away. He looked like he was on his on verge of a move to Besiktas on a 3-year deal. That has fallen through. Today we're hearing rumors of a couple of Saudi Arabian clubs that are interested in signing him again. Saudi clubs were interested in him before, right at the start of the window. He didn't want to go to Saudi. Where is Pepe going to end up? Arsenal desperate to get him off the wage bill. He's a real high earner. They don't, though, however, want to let him go for nothing. I mean, there was all this talk about they could tear up his contract and let him walk away for free. Arsenal don't want to do that. They want to get something back for their £70 million investment. And at the moment, it's a little bit of a stalemate, but they would like to move him on before the end of the window. The Saudi clubs really appeal to Arsenal because they would get a transfer fee, but it's whether he wants to go to one of those clubs or not. Sambi Lona, Albert Sambi Lona, another player that Arsenal are looking to move on. On loan at Crystal Palace last season. Again, as soon as Roy Hodgson came in, he was sort of surplus to requirements and came back to Arsenal. Brighton emerged a couple of days ago as the favourites. We were always hearing that it could be Burnley and him going there and reuniting with Vincent Kompany, who used to manage him at Anderlecht. But it looks like Brighton were the team a couple of days ago that was showing the most interested in him. That all depends on whether they get one of their key targets in. If they can't get him in from Lille, then they may turn to Sambi Lona. Arsenal would like to get around about £15 million for him, but it could be a loan. Again, what Arsenal may do with this one is loan with an obligation to buy. But it does look like they're trying to move on from Albert Sambi Lona, who, when he came in, excuse me, was a real top prospect, but it just has not worked out for him. Rob Holding, another player that seems to be surplus to requirements. Even with Urian Timber getting injured, he still hasn't figured in any of the match day squads. He's been at Arsenal, I think now the longest player at Arsenal when you take away, actually, no, it could be, would he be the longest? Yeah, he might be here the longest. I'll come back to that one. I was just racking my brains on that one. But he's been here a long time, put it that way. And Arsenal would like to move him on. Yet again, has not figured in any of the match day squads since the Premier League start. Was put in some pre-season games, very sparingly used, but none in the Premier League, not even in the squad. Rumours of a move to Besiktas have been out there, and Fenerbahce, but nothing concrete has happened. Celtic have shown an interest. Again, nothing concrete happened. Arsenal would love to get a fee of around about £10 million, but I think, they're struggling with that. Not a lot of takers at the moment for Rob Holding, but that could change in the next 7 days. So let's see if he moves on. It's just come to my head. Maybe Mohamed Elneny has been here longer than him. What about him? Mohamed Elneny. That's another one who's still here at Arsenal. We know that he had a season last year where he was out injured practically for the whole season. Arsenal extended his contract by a year, but are they going to keep Mohamed Elneny? Or are they going to, they're going to move him on? Or are they going to keep him in the squad? I mean, a lot of depth there now in that area. Thomas Partey, Jorginho, Declan Rice. When and where is he going to play? So again, could he move on? And Cedric, that's the other one. Cedric is still at the club. Not a minute of pre-season, not been in any match day squads. Arsenal would love to move him on. His contract's up at the end of next season as well, 2024, so he'd go anyway. But these are the type of players that are very hard to shift. 1 year left on their contract, good wages, getting a bit old, no team really clambering for their signature. And as the player, why would you move? You're getting paid, right? So again, a little bit of conundrum for Arsenal. If they could move on those players, they would get a really tiny amount of money in. Remember, Arsenal have outlaid over £200 million this summer. And it's said that if they could get those players out, or most of those players out, they'll look to bring in another 2 signings. But who would those 2 signings be? I want to put it out there to you guys today. Who would you like those 2 signings to be before the end of the transfer window if they were to shift these players. I can tell you too that it's not going to be, right? It's not going to be, Mohamed Kudus, because Mohamed Kudus is definitely looking like he's heading to West Ham, despite what was being said yesterday about the deal falling through. It's back on again. West Ham look like they've struck a £40 million deal where they're going to have a 10% sell-on clause in there. Ajax have done brilliant with this one. They accepted a 35 million bid a couple of weeks ago. 40 million, 10% sell-on, and personal terms looks like it's been agreed. So Kudus is going to be heading to West Ham. And this one's a real shock. A player that Arsenal been linked with all summer, many other top clubs in Europe, Gabri Veiga, going to Saudi Arabia, 21, Spanish under-21 international, hot prospect in Spain, heading to Saudi Arabia. They are changing the game. He's going to Al Ali. They're paying about £36 million for him. It's really starting to represent a real shift in what's going on in the transfer market. And remember, their window stays open about a week after our one closes. So they're a real threat nowadays. One player that I didn't talk about in the players that could be outgoings was Gabriel. And as I said, still being reiterated by Arsenal today that not even a deal of about 170 million pounds, 200 million euros would get him away from Arsenal right now. Seen as a key player at Arsenal, they're not looking to sell him. But then you've seen other rumours saying that if they do sell him, they probably try and go in and get Mark Gahey away from Crystal Palace. We've spoken about that one throughout the summer. That would cost around about £50 million. Again, that's why it doesn't make sense really for Arsenal to move on Gabriel, established player in the team, to go because to get a Gahey away in the last week of the transfer window from Crystal Palace would be difficult and very, very expensive. And talking of Crystal Palace, there's a rumour today that Crystal Palace would like to sign Takehiro Tomiyasu. The Daily Mail are the ones who are saying this, that they'd be interested in signing him. But again, I don't think that Arsenal will sell Tomiyasu. He maybe have been vulnerable a couple of weeks ago, but after the injury to Urian Timber, I don't see Tomiyasu going anywhere. Why would he want to go back to Palace after he got sent off there the other night? So those are the rumours for today. Definitely going to be a busy 7 to 8 days for Arsenal. Who's going out? And for you guys, which 2 players would you like to see come in? It's going to be a busy end of the window, and we will keep you up to date with everything right here on AFTV. Updates on any signings, any outgoings, and also we'll be doing a deadline day special. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you tomorrow.